The bailiff's voice echoes through the packed courtroom, commanding everyone to rise. Officers Brent Halden and his crew exchange smug glances, leaning back in their chairs, convinced of their victory. The judge enters, adjusting his robe as he takes his seat. The tension in the air is thick, the atmosphere electric. A hushed murmur spreads as the side doors swing open. The sound of heels clicking against the polished floor cuts through the silence. A figure steps inside, commanding immediate attention. Brent's smirk falters, his fingers tightening on the edge of the table. The judge clears his throat, glancing between the officers and the woman standing before them. Marisol Bennett strides forward, her badge gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. The room is frozen, every eye fixed on her. The officers shift in their seats. One of them mutters under his breath, confusion and panic creeping into their expressions. Brent tries to maintain his composure, but the confidence he wore so easily moments ago is slipping. Marisol folds her hands in front of her, her expression calm and unwavering. She surveys the room, letting the silence stretch before she speaks. Her voice is steady, controlled, but carries the weight of something undeniable. The officers steal glances at each other, silently trying to gauge their next move. Marisol doesn't break eye contact. The tension is suffocating. Brent finally shifts, clearing his throat, as if trying to find a way out of this moment. The judge watches carefully, his fingers tapping against the bench. The weight of Marisol's presence is undeniable. She tilts her head slightly, observing the once confident officers who now look like caged animals. The evidence is coming, the truth is here, and for the first time, the corrupt officers realize they're the ones on trial. A sharp knock echoes through the courtroom doors. The bailiff glances at the judge, who gives a slight nod. The heavy doors swing open, revealing two federal agents in dark suits. The emblem of the Department of Justice gleams on their badges. Gasps ripple through the spectators. Brent Halden stiffens, his jaw tightening. His colleagues shift uncomfortably, their smug expressions erased. One of them swallows hard, sweat forming at his temple. Marisol doesn't move, her gaze locked onto them like a predator watching its prey. The lead federal agent steps forward, holding a thick folder. He clears his throat, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Brent lets out a forced chuckle, shaking his head. He leans toward his attorney, whispering furiously. The lawyer's face drains of color as he flips through the documents in front of him. Brent bolts to his feet, slamming his hands on the table. His face is red, veins bulging at his temple. His voice cracks with desperation. The judge slams his gavel, demanding order. The federal agents remain composed as they hand over an envelope to the judge. He flips through the contents, his expression darkening with each passing second. The judge turns to the officers at the defense table, his tone firm. Brent opens his mouth to argue, but before he can say another word, the bailiff steps forward. The metallic clink of handcuffs sends a shock wave through the courtroom. One by one, the officers are cuffed. Their faces, once filled with arrogance, are now twisted in horror. Brent struggles, his voice rising in a panicked shout. The federal agents ignore his pleas. Marisol watches, her expression unreadable. For the first time, Brent Halden and his corrupt officers understand. They are no longer the ones in control. As Brent and his fellow officers are led away in handcuffs, the courtroom murmurs swell into a chaotic mix of whispers and stunned gasps. The judge calls for order, but the shift in power is already palpable. Marisol remains seated, her expression unreadable, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She doesn't need to say a word. The truth is speaking for her. Just as the bailiff reaches the doors with the disgraced officers, another set of doors swings open at the back of the courtroom. A sharply dressed woman in a navy suit strides inside, her heels clicking with quiet authority. She carries herself with an air of confidence that demands attention. The prosecutors glance at her, eyes widening in recognition. Brent notices her too, his struggling ceases. His face, already pale, loses the last trace of color. The woman steps forward, stopping just short of Brent. She tilts her head slightly, her piercing gaze locked onto him, like she's reading every thought racing through his mind. Brent's lips part, but no sound comes out. The tension in the room is suffocating. The judge leans forward, interest flickering across his otherwise stoic face. Brent's breath comes in shallow gasps. He knows exactly who she is. The woman places a document on the judge's bench. The judge picks it up, skimming the text. His expression shifts subtly, curiosity, then realization, then something else. Something final. Brent's attorney clears his throat, forcing a weak chuckle. Brent shakes his head violently, his body tensing against the cuffs. Marisol leans forward slightly, finally breaking her silence. Her voice is calm, almost amused. Brent's knees nearly buckle. He looks from Marisol to the woman in the suit, his mind scrambling for a way out, but there is none. The federal agents tighten their grip on Brent and his officers, dragging them through the doors. Their fate is sealed. The courtroom remains silent as the door clicks shut behind them. The woman in the navy suit finally turns to Marisol. A knowing smile tugs at her lips. The woman extends her hand, and Marisol shakes it. There's no need for more words. The courtroom erupts into murmurs once again, but this time, the whispers aren't about corruption or injustice. They're about something else. The tides have turned, and everyone in that room knows it. Marisol exhales slowly, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. Justice has prevailed, but the real work is just beginning. Marisol steps out of the courthouse, the crisp morning air filling her lungs. She watches as Brent and his disgraced officers are loaded into federal vehicles, their badges now meaningless pieces of metal. The weight of corruption that once suffocated the precinct is finally being lifted. She turns to see Nina waiting for her at the bottom of the courthouse steps. The young detective's eyes gleam with admiration and something else, relief. Nina shakes her head with a grin. Marisol chuckles, a rare moment of levity breaking through the storm. She places a hand on Nina's shoulder. Nina nods, her jaw tightening with determination. Just then, a black SUV pulls up. The same woman in the navy suit steps out, now without the courtroom's tension hanging over her. She gives Marisol an approving nod. Marisol smirks, tilting her head. The woman extends a business card. Marisol takes it, flipping it between her fingers. She doesn't need to read it. She already knows what it means. Marisol looks back at the courthouse one last time. She's fought this battle and won, but this isn't the end. It's the beginning of something bigger. The precinct needs rebuilding, and she's ready for the challenge. She and Nina step into the SUV, the doors shutting with a quiet finality. As the vehicle pulls away, Marisol watches the city pass by. The corruption that tried to break her is gone, but her mission is far from over. And if you love stories like this, ones about justice, resilience, and standing up for what's right, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Dark Side of Luna has 1,000 more stories coming your way, and you won't want to miss a single one.